Hey guys, it's Ornlu, and we do have a new patch upon us, or at least for the August PUP 2023. I already did a video where I broke down the changes that we're going to be seeing there, and for this video, we're going to be testing some of them out. Now, unlike some of the previous patches recently, where we had a whole slew of things to test, right now, I really only see the need to test the Sergeant change as far as to if this affects their cost efficiency. And so we're going to test that in in Castle Age and Imperial Age. And then I want to test out the Hussite Wagon and see how that rework feels and how the unit, how nice it is to micro the unit, essentially. So that's the plan. We're going to start with the Sergeant, then we'll do the Hussite Wagon, and let's get right into it. All right, so we're going to be using 15 Sergeants here for our test. And it's 15 Sergeants versus 20 Longswordsmen, because even after the cost reduction, this is equal resources. And this is with full Castle Age upgrades, but no Imperial Age upgrades. And you can see that it's basically an even fight. We run the test a few more times, it kind of can come out either way. And so, yeah, exactly. It's basically an even fight now, which before when the Sergeants were even more expensive, it wasn't even that. So at least, again, this is better. All right, now we're going to do the same test in post-Imperial Age. Again, the unit stats are exactly the same, but it's a matter of them being cheaper, so they're not going to be as heavily outnumbered by the champions. And you can see that we barely win this fight against the elite swordsmen. Sergeants have 15 more HP than champions, as well as 3 more melee armor, but they have 2 less attack, and obviously they are more expensive. So that's definitely, it's nice, because again, it used to not even be a very cost-efficient fight, and there was like very little reason to use Sergeants, so I do think that in that context, the Sergeant is buffed in the correct way. All right, next up is going to be the Knight line. So it's going to be 15 Sergeants and 20 Swordsmen versus 10 Knights. Obviously, the Swordsmen are just going to be our little control group here. And then again, this is obviously with Castle Age upgrades. Now, the Knights should win this pretty easily. But again, I just want to see how they stack up relative to the Swordsmen. Okay, this is kind of interesting. Okay, so if we go to Red's POV, you can see that there were 3 Knights left, whereas there were 5 Knights left against the Sergeants. So the Sergeants actually did worse because of their lower base attack. That said, the Sergeants took longer to kill, so it doesn't exactly... I mean, it's a side grade at best relative to Swordsmen. At least in Castle Age. We'll have to see how they perform in the Imperial Age. Alright, same test for Imperial Age, but this time it's going to be against Cavaliers. I'm not bothering to do this against Paladins because, well, that is going to be ridiculously one-sided. So we're going to see, again, 15 Sergeants, 20 Champions against just the 10 Cavalier. And you can see... Wow. That was actually surprising. Alright guys, Sergeants are pretty effective versus Cavalier. Huh. That is interesting. Build a celebratory donjon. Champions, a little bit less, less so, but they are still slightly efficient. That's the power of supplies for you. That didn't at all used to be the case in AOC. Alright, a test I'm kind of curious in here. We're going to be doing Castle Age now versus Camels. Now, Swordsmen should be very effective, cost-efficient versus Camels regardless, but my hypothesis is that the Sergeants should be even more cost-efficient. They do kill them slower, that's for sure. So we had 13 left over versus 16. So we lost 2 units versus losing 4 units. Okay, so they're around similarly cost-efficient, so the extra damage, I guess, it's only 1 extra damage, but I guess it cancels out with the 15 extra HP and 2 more melee armor. I guess it's just the numbers are so much higher because Sergeants are a lot more expensive. Okay, so it's still pretty similar. Just for the sake of being super sure, we're going to see if this is at all different in the Imperial Age. I imagine this dynamic should be fairly similar. Yeah, I only lost one sergeant, although a couple of them are quite low. But it took them a lot longer than it did with the champions, who lost 4 of them. So they took more damage, but they also cleaned up the camels faster. So yeah, it makes sense. Alright, this time we're going to try with Light Cav. Castle Age upgrades. Again, the resources are balanced. This is 16 Light Cav versus 15 Sergeants and the 20 Swordsmen. Again, the Swordsmen should be doing well here, as are the Sergeants. But I'm just curious to see if this makes a difference, especially since Light Cav have pretty low attack. Alright, so we lost 3 Sergeants. And the Swordsmen lost half their numbers. So they were able to win a bit faster, but as you can see, they lost a lot more in the process, and that's where the tankiness of the Sergeants are going to come in. And as we're seeing here pretty consistently already, the Sergeants might not kill stuff fast, but they do last quite a long time. And just to be super sure, we will be testing this in the Imperial Age. I imagine the results are going to be pretty similar. In fact, the infantry should win even harder since Hussar isn't anywhere near as big an upgrade over Light Cav as it is with the elite upgrades and champions. Anyway, 2 sergeants were lost, not that big of a deal, and only 2 champions were lost. So the champions with the superior numbers can sort of overwhelm the Hussars more quickly. But at the same time, there's still probably a lot more HP left on these sergeants because most of them are still full HP, whereas a lot of the champions are quite low. Alright, now we're going to test against hand cannoneers, and obviously this is just an Imperial Age matchup. And this is where the Sergeant, I think, should be doing a lot better than the Champion. Not only do they have more Pierce Armor, but as Sicilians, they take less bonus damage. But obviously, any sort of range unit test isn't going to be as good, just because I can't micro 2 groups of hand cannoneers at the same time, even in the best of situations. Alright, now we're going to try against hand cannoneers in the Imperial Age. Alright, now we're going to try with hand cannoneers in the Imperial Age. Alright, so basic thoughts here on the Sergeant. I didn't really test them against ranged units because that's just going to be a matter of can the Sergeants really reach there in time. In the best case scenario, they're basically even with champions, maybe slightly better. They're definitely more durable, which is helpful when going for the donjons. But this is only making the Sergeant like as efficient as a champion and not really anything more than that, at least in a straight up fight. Alright, so now we're going to move on to what I think is going to be the more interesting unit of this video, and that is going to be the Hussite Wagon, as that has been changed quite a lot. Now, I'm not exactly sure how these tests are going to go, and I'm going to try and micro this as best I can, but yeah, I really don't know what to think of this slightly reworked unit. Lower base attack, but more projectiles, and the secondary projectiles deal higher damage. Now, this is basically equal resources with Castle Age Longswordsman and the Hussite Wagon. And this is the sort of unit that we would have to imagine the Hussite Wagon is going to perform fairly well against. What the? Why isn't stop working? All right. Well, it's taking a long time. We're not really winning this at all. And this is with Wagenborg tactics, by the way, since I gave the units all Castle Age upgrades. Yeah, it didn't feel super impressive. Alright, now let's give this a go with Imperial Age. I feel like with this sort of unit, the stop micro is going to be more effective, since it's like about, you know, mass area damage. But right now, this feels like a faster, with Wagenborg tactics, but still very clunky version of the organ gun. Like, the organ guns would be shredding right now. This is like, eh. It doesn't feel impressive, that's for sure. Okay, the next test should be looking better for the Hussite Wagon. It's going to be against crossbowmen, again, equal resources. If you look at Red's POV, it does look like the archers are going down mighty quick. Yeah, that's pretty brutal. If you're focus firing, maybe one Hussite Wagon goes down. Definitely no more than one. That's for darn sure. So in that sort of context, yeah, the Hussite Wagon is definitely going to feel a lot cleaner to play with. Alright, Imperial Age time. I imagine this is going to look fairly similar. You're still only dealing 1 damage, because the Elite Hussite Wagon has 10 Pierce Armor. Yeah, again, at best, you're killing 1 Hussite Wagon there. So, in terms of an actual shootout against ranged units, the Hussite Wagon is going to feel a lot better to play, especially because all of those projectiles are firing at the same time. That feels like a big difference maker. Alright, let's try with Knights. See how bad this is going to be. They are easier to micro. I will give them that. But I don't think the raw damage is going to be there anymore. Yeah. You can see, it started with 14 knights, and, I mean, 5 of them went down. It still doesn't feel like the world's most impressive fight. Again, try with Imperial Age. Don't imagine this is going to go all that much different. Also, we're just testing Cavalier. Paladins are going to be a massacre. I mean, the Cavalier will also probably be a massacre, but at least the Hussite Wagons have a little bit of a chance this time. Now, of course, we have to remember that against regular cavalry, Bohemians just have their halves that they can go for. And as a support unit, yeah, it looks like the performance is almost exactly the same as in Castle Age. The Bohemian Halves, like as a meat shield with the Hussite Wagons behind, it might be okay, but still it feels like you're better off just making hand cannons or arbs. Alright, super important test for the Hussite Wagon. Mangonels. Gonna start with Castle Age, but this isn't even equal resources. The Hussite Wagons have more resources. My concern is that with the lower base attack... Okay, well, 4 not even. Okay, we'll try that again. Maybe I can focus fire a little bit better. Yeah, guys, don't fight mangonels with Hussite Wagons. Okay, with better micro, you can win it, but like I said, this isn't even equal resources. Equal resources would be like over 6 mangonels. Yeah. Alright, final test versus regular old onagers, not siege onagers. Okay, that ain't good. Well, one can bait the splash damage. Guys, the Hussite Wagon hard counters the onager. It may be difficult to believe, but as you can see here, absolute proof that this unit hard counters the Onager. Ain't even close, man. Yeah, it's still not great, that's for sure. Alright, so the verdict on the Hussite Wagon, it still doesn't feel great. It feels smoother to micro. And that I think is going to be the biggest win here, because in terms of actual, efficacy, it's fairly similar, except maybe versus archers, which it wins super hard no matter what. But it does feel at least easier to play with them. I wouldn't say easy by a long shot. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of these units, what you're excited to see on the next patch. And thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.